He's a very kind man. He's a wonderful guy. He's very kind, unusually kind, and loves others' successes, which is an unusual quality.
He's liked by everybody.
He's a really fine teacher and educator and friend.
He's so genuine, so loving, so sincere, and just the funnest, happiest person to be around.
He's just a wonderful man. You know, he never changes.
He always has a smile, no matter what's happening. He always has a smile, and he's just a super guy.
Art's just always been a good guy to be around.
More than anything, he always makes people feel happy about themselves. So when you think about it, what else are we here for? To try to make other people happy, I think.
He is just truly a wonderful man.
One of the nicest, kindest, most enthusiastic people I ever met.
He's a friend to everybody, and everybody's his friend.
I think all you have to do is look outside. Who could do that?
I know it's going to get more.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who could draw this kind of a crowd. We don't have a lot of friends, but I don't know anybody that could. I think it tells its own story.
I like this.
Okay, Roland was my husband, and he and Art have been friends all through St. Monica's High School. So I went to all the reunions that they got the groups together. So as long as I can remember, and Roland and I were married 28 years, excuse me, then Roland passed away 15 years ago. But my association with Art is what a loyal, what a sweet, what a wonderful friend to our family and our family to his. So the families knew each other for quite a few years, and after Roland has been gone those 15 years, Art never quit being my friend.
I met Art in 1945-46. We graduated from high school together. And he had been in school ahead of us, but he went into the service. And when he came out, he ended up joining our class so he could graduate with us.
First recollection would be counseling with Art at the college when I first went to school. I went in '66, I think, was maybe a year or two after Art had gone to the college from John Adams. So we were working together as counselors in the summer, and I just remember he just took me under his wing and started explaining to me how I was going to be able to make money at the college, and how great it was to teach part-time, to teach in the summers, all the extra money, all the stuff, and so it was just really neat. Super friend right off the bat, and so we've been friends ever since. We've taken several trips together on the with the college. So for about 10 years now, we've been doing London, Paris, alternated with Venice, Vienna, all of Austria, Italy. And a couple of times we went to Australia, New Zealand, Fiji. And so we just had a wonderful association. And I had to do it myself this summer because he wasn't able to go. And I really missed him a lot. Students missed him too. Just being my mom's brother. It takes you a while for that to sink in as a young kid. Uncle and what that means. We didn't have any grandparents growing up. Our grandparents were all passed. So knowing my uncles, my dad had a brother, and my mom had a brother. So that was pretty neat to me to get to know him.
First, really strong remembrance. His stories go way back further than mine go. When he was at the college, we used to go on golfing outings. I was at the high school, teaching at the high school. I went on weekend golfing outings and played poker between Saturday nights. That's the first real time that I remember Art. So we've known each other ever since then.
I met Art in 1940 with his dad at St. Paul the Apostle Church. I was there with my folks.
And in that time, is there anything that you can share with us, stories of Art?
There's very little that you can repeat because it's nothing that you'd want to.
There's a lot of stories.
There's a lot. The stories are too numerous to even start in on. I went to high school with him at college. Betty
You roomed with them?
Roomed with him. Betty dated him for a while, and he's the one that suggested I take her out, and from that we ended up getting married 55 years ago.
Just a few years ago. Just a few years ago.
One or two. But we've had nothing but great times with Art and Margie, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Wow, much like my brothers, just being here as my mother's brother, the one other uncle I had. My father had one brother, and Art was the one nearby, along with Margie and the family, and just being in this house and then coming out to see us as early memories. Nothing very specific, just being there, and it was a lot of fun.
When I was hired at Santa Monica College in 1978 as the basketball coach, and he was the first guy that I went to talk to in the office because he was a registrar, and I wanted to make sure that all my athletes were enrolled and taken care of academically. And I knew right then and there that this would be the best guy to know on campus because he just is so effusive and just so always in the greatest mood, always complimentary, just made you feel like you were just king and that you were going to do a great job. So that was, like I said, in 1978, and from that point on, just always loved being around when Art Verge was there. So that's how I got to know him, and then I've been there now for 29 years. I just retired as a full-time instructor. I quit coaching 3 years ago. So I just have to say is what's such an inspiration, and I want him to know that I haven't had a chance to tell him, but I just after all these years I decided to take a job as an assistant coach at New Mexico State University because one of my former assistant coaches that I got started in coaching has now become the head coach. And I look back and I think about how helpful Art was to me, and now I have a protege that has asked me to help him, and I just hope I can be as effective as Art Verge ever was.
Art and I go back quite a few years. Actually, when I was about 19 and he was a tad older, we worked at the post office for the small cartons of mail that go through. So that's when we first met. So that goes back 55 years plus. So.
It's hard to really say, when did I really meet Art? I think it's like a lot of people, you know, you see him all the time everywhere. He was around town, and he knew everybody in town, and everybody knew Art Verge. So I sort of got to the point, yeah, I had to know Art Verge. But when I was on the Santa Monica College Advisory Board, he was involved with that naturally, and my kids had him at City College. 3 of them went to City College, and of course that was the good grade. God, get Dr. Verge, you know, and you'll pass. He'll do you a break or whatever. But then he was doing these European tours, and I always thought it was a fraudulent deal. You know, he's traveling all over. He had claimed repeatedly that no, the students pay for the trip. The students pay for the trip. Well, as a matter of fact, he did one trip to France some 20 years ago, and my wife and I were in Paris, and we knew that they were going to be there, so we arranged to meet him, and we had dinner. And we had him over for cocktails in our hotel room, which I didn't think was great, but Art must have been staying in a cellar or something, because he couldn't get over the fact that, you know, we had a bed and chairs and all the rest of this.
I met him when I first came over to Santa Monica College. It was way back in 1950, and I met him about the second year. I think I was there before him, just a couple of years when he came. And we've been very close, and I think his family is just fantastic. They're like his dad, and I've never found anybody in all the 42 years that I've known him that has spoken a harsh word about him. He's just an incredible guy. No matter where he goes, people just blossom into wanting to share whatever he's thinking about. It's amazing. He's done so much with kids. He has a wonderful, wonderful record with kids, and I think he's a great teacher. One of the nicest persons I've ever met.
The children have grown up together and met Art, and just became truly good friends. They're godparents to one of my children. And we've done a lot of things, not really camping, one camping trip, one and only with them. They don't like that kind of thing.
Sounds like there's a story there.
Yeah,
Tell me about the one and only camping trip.
Yeah, one and only. I don't think they like camp. Marge didn't like camping, so that was the end of that. But we've traveled a number of times on boat trips when Art used to do lectures and stuff, and so we started traveling with them and had great times over the years. We've just been the best of friends. And Art, anytime that we go to any of the affairs that the group has, he's always my dinner partner, has been for 51 years. And so, you know, they're dear people, and Art is just call them any time of the day and night, and they would be there for you. So we adore him. I do. I don't know my husband to say that, but I do. He's a nice man, very nice man. I'm privileged to know him.
Well, Shirley met Margie, and of course I met Arj, and that was 51 years ago. And we've been very close friends ever since. As Shirley said, the godfather to one of our children. They took us on our first cruise when Art was lecturing on the boat, and since that time we've been on 28 cruises, and we thank them for getting us started on that. We've been to many other cruises with them and many trips When Art would take students over to Europe for classes, we would go over during the Easter week, and then we would just roam all through Austria and Czechoslovakia and up the Danube and Budapest and places like that. And it was just fun. And he used to have great parties here at his house with 200 or 300 people in the front room. And we started having Thanksgiving with the Verge family, and we've done that now for close, I guess, over 40 years, every Thanksgiving. Art's a dear friend. I admire him so much because he's so good at helping young people get an education, and all his travels around the world to recruit students to the college. You can talk to people anywhere, and they can relate stories about classes that they took with him at Santa Monica City College, and what a great teacher he was. And he really is. He's a fine person, has a wonderful family, and of course Marge is an absolute doll.
It was really like a soap opera, and I've been married to Art for a long, like 55 years, and our life turned out really, really well. Of course, I'm kind of spiritual, so sometimes I think when you have bad things, they're watching over you. But what happened was, I guess his dad was a very successful lawyer, and he took care of that Winnie Ruth Judd case where the lady chopped up some men. This is true. She was a nurse, and she went to Arizona. And anyway, it's a really good story. It's a Winnie Ruth Judd story. And somehow there was some friction, and so she chopped these people up and put the two corpses, the women, I think, in a trunk and sent them to Union Station, and then the blood was coming out. Well, anyway, so his father did cases like that, and I think he had the Tony Canero, who was the big gambler off the ocean and had the wrecks. And but anyway, so his father was very successful, and then what happened, very tragically, his sister Rosemary was killed on her 18th birthday on her way to a party. She was killed with a lifeguard, and so his poor mom kind of just, that really threw her off. And what happened was she died of cancer. So she had this awful cancer, and I guess Art said when he was a little kid they'd have him sleep outside in the little house because she was in so much pain. And Art's sister Polly used to always say that was the bad luck house because somebody else committed suicide. So then after Polly died, and then Art's father sent him to a military school, St. John's Military Academy, and I guess he cried, and so his father let him come out, and they lived together and had a very happy life. And his sister Polly would still keep in contact, but she joined the Waves because it was during the war. But then his father died of cancer at a very young age of 52, and Art lived with some different really more with friends. And the nuns at St. Monica's were really nice, and they let him work for a while there. And then he joined the service. That was at 17, and his Uncle Gene signed the thing so he could join the Navy. Had a very easy life in the Navy. Well, I mean, if you're 17, it wasn't too easy, but at least it wasn't bad. He wasn't sent overseas. And then when he came out, thank God for the government in that case, because he got the GI Bill. And the nuns used to push everybody going to St. Mary's College, and he went to St. Mary's College. And then he was able, he went to law school. That was kind of an interesting story. Goes to law school, and he's at Bolt Law. He finally gets in. Then there was another miracle. He runs into his dad's old law partner on the streets of Santa Monica, and the old law partner said, come and stay with me a couple of days till you find a place to live. So Art goes and stays with Walter French and Florence French in a beautiful home on Alta Avenue, and he lived there for 8 years. And then was able to go to St. Mary's College on the GI Bill, was able to lifeguard, and then he goes to Bolt Law School. And the teacher gets up and he said, okay, if you don't enjoy reading law books, I want you to stand up now and leave. And Art raised his hand and said, I really don't like reading law books. And the professor said, I've given that speech for 25 years and nobody's ever done that. So, and I was engaged at Art at the time, and I was all excited I was going to marry a lawyer. This was great, I wasn't a very successful student, but I was going to have a lawyer for a husband, no problem, everything was set. And he came home and he said, no, I came to my mom's house and said, no, I'm going to be a teacher. But anyway, we still got married, and teaching came out to be a wonderful, wonderful field. We've had a really, really good life, and I don't know how we got such nice kids. And it obviously wasn't Art, and it probably wasn't me. Maybe their genes are better, but anyway, that's the end of my story, and we've had a very happy life together.
You have great kids because of you.
Oh,
You know,
thank
Art.
you. No, no. But anyway, thank you.